It's 4 a.m. I just woke up. I am frustrated. I cannot sleep. Usually when I woke up at this hour, it's because I have a fight with my wife. Yes, it makes me awake. Today, I am awake because I have a board meeting at 9 a.m. You know, I manage an industrial spare part business. I'm accountable for many lives out there. And this board meeting is very important because I will be the hero of the company. The last board meetings, I was almost fired for many reasons. One, either I achieved my top line, but the costs are over the roof. Second, I didn't achieve my top line, or I achieved my top line, but there's a problem in cash flow. Today, we managed to achieve our top line, and we managed to control the costs. How did we do that? This is what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you how we did it and how IBP played a pivotal role on it. So you heard me talk about supply chain strategy, top line, IBP. You are wondering, what's the connection? There is a very direct connection between these three elements. Because my board is looking at this triangle. This is the supply chain triangle. Our businesses are trying to balance between revenue, cost, and working capital. It's the dance between these three elements that define the right strategy. So from the board room down to the warehouse floors, every single decision will directly or indirectly impact your business and your top line. Those decisions will impact your EBIT and will impact your return of capital employed. It's a direct equation. That's why today supply chain is in the board meetings. That's why today many chief supply chain officers are becoming CEOs. Because there is a direct connection, and every single decision we make has a P&L impact. So today I managed to solve the equation. And I managed to solve this equation in a dynamic market where supply chains are being stressed, where disruptions are the new normal. Today is not about if disruptions will happen or when disruptions will happen, because it is both they are omnipresent and unpredictable. Today we need to operate with all those disruptions, and our strategy needs to be dynamic. Our strategy needs to be taught in a regular basis and shaped in a regular basis. You have heard about all those disruptions, right? Nothing new here. So inflation, high inflation, it is coming into stagnation right now. You have political instability that is impacting different areas in the globe, with putting a lot of pressure on suppliers. You have energy crises that are still making our shipment costs very high. You have employee turnover, a lot of shortage when it comes to labor, when it comes to the skills, to the talent. We have the artificial intelligence that is disrupting the market today, because we are not the only one in the market. So the other companies are trying to implement and deploy solutions to be more competitive. And then you have the customer buying behaviors that is always changing, which sustainability is part of it, but they have other expectations when it comes to consuming our products and services. So the strategy needs to take into account these disruptions, and it needs to be dynamic, and it needs to be taken into account all the external factors. So I told you that I was almost fired 3 times. Why? I did try to implement an IBP in my organization, but I didn't succeed. Let me ask you a question. Why didn't we succeed, in your view, in our IBP transformation? Any volunteer? What are the reasons why organizations try to implement an IBP process, but they don't succeed? It's going to take the... No one? We started our IBP process with technology. So we jumped into the most shiny object out there. AI, machine learning, automation, ChatGPT, cloud platform, APIs. But we didn't get it right, because it's not just about the technology. An IBP is a transformation of the whole business. It includes the people, the process, the governance. We had a very nice technology, but people were not skilled to run that technology. They didn't know what is their focus. They didn't know what is the vision. The process was not managed by the top and senior management. Processes were not streamlined, and there is no collaboration between demand and supply. There is no collaboration between product, finance, marketing, everyone working in a silo. And the governance, forget about it. There is no Rachid, there is no Rapid, there is no change management in place, there is no... We just bought the technology, and we hoped it will solve our problems. But it didn't. After I failed the IBP implementation, I realized I was not the only one. Actually, many organizations out there tried to implement an IBP process, and they have failed to do it for many reasons. And according to, this is a survey that was done by McKinsey last year, where they have interviewed more than 100 businesses, and many organizations fall short when it comes to the IBP, because either the senior management is not involved, so only 29% in the organizations that were interviewed succeeded actually to look long-term horizon and involve the top management. Only 20% made sure that there is input and insight done towards the IBP meetings, and only 9% of them had cross-functional teams collaborating with each other. So if you don't work in the right things, of course, the process will not work, and the transformation will not be successful. So in my second attempt for IBP, I tried to look at the 4 dimensions. And I just didn't focus on the technology, but I was actually looking at the people, the processes, and the governance. So the people, we had a very strong sponsorship from the C-suite. We had a clear, defined goals and objective, and people know their focus. They know the vision. They know how their role contribute to the vision. So there is a direct connection. The processes, we focused on the right planning horizon and planning granularity. We connected all the functions together, demand and supply tightly connected, involving the product, the finance, and also there was a clear decision-making process within the organization. And the technology, we didn't just go into the fancy components out there and all the buzzwords we hear today. We actually implemented what matters most for our organization, looking at, of course, at the data quality, making sure that we have the performance in place to manage and measure all the KPIs and iterate on them, and we have spent a lot of time on analytics. And the governance, which took us a lot of time to get it right, we managed to do a clear race between different departments, where each department knows exactly what the next one is supposed to do. We had a communication plan, weekly, monthly, quarterly, internally, in order to champion the process, in order to get more buy-in from the different entities. And then we had a continuous improvement and learning. So this does not stop. We just put in a solution and aligning people and processes. It's a continuous process that goes and improved in a regular basis. So if you take something out of this presentation, and this is what saved me, 3 things. To get the IBP transformation right, first, it should be sponsored by top management. The CEO, CIO, CFO should be in those business reviews. Second, the IBP should be driven by cross-functional collaboration across the business. And then the last one is you need to look at the right level of granularity. And I'm going to explain to you for each one of them how did we manage to do it in our organization. So let's start with the first one. So effective IBP requires the hands-on participation of the top management. Why? Because IBP is not just an upgrade of the planning processes. It is a wild business transformation. So it needs to involve the people that owns the P&L. It needs to happen at the level with the top line, where the top line is happening. So those people, in my organization, the CEO, CEO were part of the reviews, the quarterly reviews, and they present the strategy, and from that strategy, we drive all the actions for the organization. Once they are there, all the business functions, from finance, sales, marketing, they were completely aligned, and there is a consistent behavior across those different functions. So that's the first one. The second is the cross-collaboration between all the departments. Today, like my organization, in most organizations, you will see that people operate in silos, right? There's no connections. It's like a hot potatoes. They try to play with it a bit, and then give it to the next department. They play with it again. And problems are not solved in a proactive way. There is no table where everyone is sitting to try to solve the same problem. So that's what needs to change to have an effective IBP in place. And when I talk about cross-collaboration, so I mean all those business functions needs to collaborate with each other. And most importantly, its business function needs to know what is the goals and needs of the other business unit, right? So sales marketing, what is their goal? Their goal is usually to increase the revenue and have a better or a wider market share. What do they need? Product availability, right? Finance, their goal is to increase the profitability. What are the needs? Mostly business plans and supply chain costs. Supply chain planning, what is their goal? Their goal is basically to come up with a feasible plan that will drive all the operations in the supply chain. What is their needs? Their needs is to have better inputs when it comes to the supplier, when it comes to all the inputs that are used in supply chain. Supply chain execution, what is their goal? Their goal is basically to optimize the inventory, manage the warehouse, and their needs is to get inputs, a better forecast accuracy, so that they can actually manage and operate the inventories in different warehouses. So the moment we understand the goals and needs of each department, then they can sit together and they can make the other department be successful. That's the way you create synergies, and that's the way you actually make those departments collaborate with each other. So the other point is about the granularity and which level we'll look at when it comes to the IBP. What we did in the past is we said, let's implement the IBP. And then we started looking at different SKUs, started looking at the daily plan. We started, is that an IBP process? No, because IBP should be at aggregated level. It should operate more from a product family level, probably weekly, monthly horizon, and many organizations mix between the IBP and the SNOE. And they try to do what they are supposed to do in SNOE in the IBP, and they are just naming it IBP. So if we look at different horizons actually that are there in supply chain, so you have the strategic plan where the level of details is very low. And then as you go down to the operations, the level of details becomes high. And you see that from the first level, which is more the strategic level, so there where you define your strategy. So which market should I open? Which product line should I put in the mix? Should I invest more in EPAC or not? If I close all my sourcing in EPAC and I moved it to Europe, what will happen with the business? What happens if I open a new store in this region? All those questions that are more strategic, that are planned more in a long-term horizon, can be addressed at that level. So I don't care if it is this specific SKUs, as soon as I look at the product family, as soon as I look at the weekly, monthly kind of horizon. Once this is defined, which is the guidelines for all the other planning horizons, then you go into the annual operating plan with monthly sales target, and you drive the strategy that you have in the 3 years term. Once that is done, then you go into the sales and demand plan, which is an alignment between the published sales plan and the projected demand. And then after that, you go into the supply and purchase plan. So it's really the whole understanding of the granularity and how you should plan in different levels that makes the IBP work. So we should not do the IBP with the details we are doing for the supply and purchase plan. So now I'm going to talk about the transformation itself. As I mentioned, I was almost fired. We tried the first time. We didn't get it right. We tried the second time, and we made it happen. So IBP is a transformation journey. You may not get it right in the beginning, but as soon as you continue to improve and go through the steps, then eventually you will get it right. So we started as an organization from a low maturity, and many organizations are here, right? Where everything, there is a disconnection between all the processes. It's focused on the past, it's backwards looking, a lot of firefighting between different teams. And then we went into the foundation in place, where we have some element of IBP in place. We have some shared KPIs. We have accountability in place as well. And we have the organization. The organization is still tending to work in silo. They are still siloed. They didn't really get it right yet. And then we moved into the capable IBP, where we have the integration with the annual plan. And we run some scenarios, simulations. And from there, we have more a formal and disciplined process, where there are very defined monthly business reviews, quarterly business reviews. The top management is involved, and they are present, participating in those meetings. And this is where we are today. But our ambition is to go to the next stage of IBP. And the next stage of IBP, it starts with an advanced IBP, where we focus on the customer experience, to the value chain focus, where it is strategically driven and there is a delegation and empowerment of the team. We will move from there. This is all part of our plan. We will move from there to the low-touch IBP, where many of the decisions are low-touched, so semi or almost automated. And then we will get into the cognitive IBP, where we will use machine learning AI to predict risks, opportunities, and make sure that we are driving the business more in an automated way. So, in order to sum up this presentation, I would like you to look at this and take this, picture it, put it in your head. A lot of times we actually focus on the technology, but to have a good transformation or a successful transformation, we need to look at the processes and the people. It's not about doing the right things. It's not about doing the things right, it's about doing the right things. And those are the right things. And it's really mixing, merging operations with finance, with management, with sales, marketing, and with supply chain. IBP should not be owned by supply chain. It should be a wide business transformation. IBP should be across all the business functions. IBP should look at the high level of granularity when it comes to decision process. So this is what needs to be stuck in your mind before you do any transformation. Otherwise, it will not be successful. Today, I'm telling you a story from losing a job to being a hero. It's actually not my story. It's a story of a customer of Slimstock. When they tried the IBP the second time, the customer is actually present here in this room. And he's part of the audience. I borrowed the story from her. Thank you for that. But I am not allowed to talk about the name of the company and the name of the person. You can try to discuss some networking. Probably you may find out. But it's a story that happens with many organizations. We are a software provider. We have talked with many customers, prospects. This is not something that is unique. It happens all the time. And it's a little bit weird from me as a software provider to tell you that you should not focus on the technology. I am representing the technology. You should focus on the people, the processes, and the governance, because that's the way you get it right. Technology is just an enabler to the transformation. It will help you with the transformation. But if you only focus on the technology, then you are missing the point. Thank you.